Hi guys, just something that struck me this morning. We tend to in marketing speak about the glamorous and often very inspiring activities we do, like brilliant advertising, brilliant creative ideas, brilliant animations, brilliant gaming, and I can carry on. Those are often the ones that are awarded, and those are often the ones that tend to retain their speakability over time. One thing that struck me about the Checkers activities, and I'm not talking at this point about the brilliant in-store activities and the way they change the interiors of their stores. At this point, I'm talking about the initiatives for the Springboks and many others that happened subsequent to that. Now, in theory, we can say that they cannot possibly sell more product because of that. And I suppose that's reasonably true, because they're not directed as being pure sales messages. However, what has become pretty apparent to me is the more you can engage a society in your brand, the better. When you have societal involvement and societal commitment, and if there is a thing such as that, loyalty, you actually transcend the boundaries of competition. You actually get into a space where to try and compete with you becomes almost impossible. In the very early days, Mr. Raymond Ackerman, when he started Pick n Pay, and for many years thereafter, the community involvement of Pick n Pay was superb. They were part of local schools, they were part of local community groups, and in essence, Pick n Pay in a way felt as though it belonged not to the Ackermans, but essentially to the town and the community within which it did its business. When I did work for MTN, and that was a long time, it was about 9 years of my life that I did work for MTN across their network. There's a number of things that stood out for me that I thought was massively advantageous. Yes, of course, the brand was, impactful. It was yellow. A lot of very serious thought went into the brand. The brand was prioritized by the CEO. And the brand had a lot of commitment and a lot of research and work behind it to make it happen. I know that. However, what struck me as I started traveling around the different countries was a very, very deeper sense of commitment that MTN demonstrated to the community, albeit by planning or by default, but I'm sure there was an element of both. The one thing being, for instance, if you go into a country like Cameroon or Nigeria, you build a building. That shows a certain commitment to the outside world. It shows a certain commitment to the community. This company is serious about us. It's serious about our country. It's serious about what it's doing here. It doesn't fear the country in terms of it may lose its money. It's prepared to put up, call it, a symbol of its presence. And that in turn maybe will inspire other companies to do the same in the country. Then downstream, MTN specifically, you have the way that they empowered people to own their own stores. In other words, they created so many entrepreneurs in so many places, whether it was from Yemen to Nigeria, right down to Swaziland, people that sold airtime, but people that had yellow signage, people that felt proud of being part of the community. I remember driving down the main road of Sana'a in Yemen with yellow flags everywhere, lifting up a community that was pretty drab in the middle of the desert, not looking great otherwise, pretty dull, dusty. Then he created even more things, and a lot of this was in a way spontaneous. It created people that started driving around on bicycles selling airtime. It created kiosks along the roads. This is long ago. Everybody does it now, of course. But created kiosks around the road. Now, remember one thing, this creates jobs, it creates community presence, it makes the families, the friends, and the supporters of those very people that own these little kiosks, bicycles, and stores loyal towards MTN. Then it went further because it had to obviously have its offices cleaned. So now you have a whole network of sub-suppliers that help the business. And ultimately, that collective creates the brand and the business of MTN. Now, to simply outcompete with that by making a brilliant new ad or coming up with a nice new product offer or a new pricing plan is simply not good enough. You may take it up and use the offer, but when you've used the offer, you will simply go back to MTN because of a far deeper involvement than simply another ad or another this or another that. Not that those are bad or there's anything wrong with those, and they did brilliant ones. But the point is, they did something that was significant for the community. Now, when I look at Checkers, when I look at the Pick n Pay of old, unfortunately the Pick n Pay of old, because I've not recently seen them do this in the last 10, 15 years, and certainly MTN across the Middle East and across Africa, you create a franchise and a group of advocates that is incredibly difficult to steal, call it, from a competitive point of view. Because those people, you basically become part of them, you become part of their communities. I find it very odd that we don't speak about this issue as much as we should in marketing. And I find it even more odd that we as marketing people and or marketing suppliers do not make our clients understand and believe the importance of this, because that creates a competitive advantage way beyond almost anything you can do. Apple did it in other ways, but this is as fundamental, if not far more fundamental, than what Apple did. Apple coerces you into being part of an ecosystem. What MTN, Pick n Pay, and certainly Checkers these days are doing does not coerce you into being part of the family. You want to be part of the family. And to try and get you out of that family becomes like a divorce. So let's just think before we do things, because we often are pretty limiting in how we see solutions happening. Yesterday I posted a piece on Grid and their circus offered by Marvel and Investec. Guys, those are the kinds of activities that make people stick around. But if you can involve the community of an individual, the family, the friends, the people that matter to them, you create a competitive advantage second to none. I'd really love to see more of that happening. Have a great weekend. Cheers, eh?